Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm Ellie, and this is Corruption Files. And we're still on the Boys on the Track. And I welcome all of you to the show. And um, the first thing I want to say is what's very disheartening with the Boys on the Track is the Don Henry family. And as we discovered, uh, his sister was dating a man that was on the tracks that night. So the Don Henry family got word early on that the boys were on the tracks, and they didn't let Linda Ives know till later on. Um, and then they whisked the sister away to Florida with her mom for a very long time, so they couldn't talk to her and couldn't get any info from her. But thanks to a lot of the other witnesses we've uncovered, and some of the documents being unredacted, we find that uh, she was a big part of this, and so was the Don Henry family. And the saga goes on, but it was really disheartening when I um, listened to Hillary Clinton one day saying how to about reading redacted documents, and she said on April, this was April of 2019, that it left me thinking, really, what a joke. And so, what did she say? She said, "I would hope that the law is followed, the information is provided, that the American public and press has a chance to go through these 300 to 400 pages with, as few redaction or cross outs or white outs as possible. Few reductions or cross outs. It would be the way to go." Now, this was on the Russia. So this wasn't too long ago. So, and this is coming from Hillary Clinton. Kevin and Don were murdered and 34 years ago, and the FBI would finally get involved in the case in 1993 to 1998, and the murders of the boys um, hit national level, as we know, on Unsolved Mysteries. And not only that, but um, there is an award-winning bestseller, The Boys on the Tracks by Arthur Murrow, as well as countless articles, mainstream media. Coast to Coast even did a show on it. It has been all over the internet. And so it's really hard for us in Arkansas to understand why the case is just stalled. And if you watch Murder on the Track documentary series, um, 1 through 5, plus all of the add-ins, um, you would see where we take an in-depth look at the FBI's investigation through the eyes of their very own documents. And where they do this at is Carnage on Ice and ID files. And ID files is where you can find all the documents. Um, we also saw plenty of documents that law enforcement officials are involved in the drug trafficking back then. We also saw that the FBI state the victims, Kevin and Don, as reported by Richard Garrett. They took national on Unsolved Mysteries until something was mentioned. And then they tried to tell Unsolved Mysteries, please don't show this. Please don't show that show. Show the first one, not the second. And and then they should not have um, uh, had the judge John Cole that they did. That Dan Harmon, he put in a special prosecutor. That's in the documents. Judge John Cole was paid to appoint him, and uh, and then we saw in the FBI report states, and these are all FBI reports, um, states that this murder was aired on Unsolved Mystery, and that individuals would call in with information, and it was never really taken, or they were threatened by phone. And then Garrett would continuously withhold information from Arkansas State Police surrounding the case. And there are at least 6 murders with possible links that led to the FBI. in this report as a result of numerous homicides surrounding the incident related to the boys. And individuals are very scared to talk, and anyone due to fear for their own life. We also saw in the FBI reports. And that states that two males from patrol car began beating the boys and threw the boys in the back of the patrol car and took off. And one of those officers from the police patrol car was named Kurt Lane. And according to various Arkansas State Police reports and other implicated officers, was Lane's his best friend, and Jay Campbell. And the FBI reports the situation got out of hand. Kevin Ives was struck in the head, rendered unconscious, possibly killed. Don Henry then, they say, ran at the time, and he was possibly stabbed in the back as he tried to flee. Then the FBI, Little Rock Division, had been gathering intelligence on current political corruption in Saline County that paralleled corruption resulting in these victims' deaths. So you could see, folks, now we're starting to see what's being uncovered by the FBI and their files. And law enforcement officials may have been involved in the deaths. We also saw all kinds of evidence from the case go missing. And we would see the FBI state in their report that it was very apparent that a well orchestrated conspiracy is happening, and it's captioned in this case. Document after document and report after report lists how cover up of these murders by law enforcement, political figures. And what did the FBI do when Kevin's mother, Linda Ives, filed for Freedom of Information Act requests? What they saw was FBI begin their own cover up and told Linda Ives that headquarters located no records. And that was at the end of 1999, and the FBI had already amassed thousands of documents on the case. They were just lying, and they were trying to close down the investigation, bury it all by stating, based on foregoing investigations, meaning all this stuff we just looked up at times, thousands of it, and even gave to the FBI more information, more witnesses, more police reports, more of everything. The FBI conducted no further investigation into the matter. We cannot state a murder even occurred. So how about the FBI apparently can't figure out if there was a murder or not? Can you imagine the outrage hearing that? They cannot even state a murder occurred. With all that evidence, all those documents, all their statements, they couldn't figure it out. They didn't even know if there were even dead bodies. Then Arkansas Congressman Snyder got the FBI to admit they had 17,000 pages of documents that were related to Kevin and Don's murders. And early in 2000, the FBI finally released approximately 2,000 to Linda. And which is where all the clippings that we've been looking through comes at. And though the murder happened 34 years ago, there are hundreds and hundreds of pages, thousands of pages that we have still not received. And the FBI still refuses to unredact the documents 34 years later. If it's no biggie to them, why can't they just unredact what they redacted? And I see Hillary Clinton saying about this redacted documents thing. So I would hope that the American public would, and the press has a chance to go through the pages, she said. As few redactions or cross out as possible. We haven't gotten that kind of clarity. It's been 34 years. Let's not forget that the murders happened when Bill Clinton was governor, and all these corrupt officials and many more worked in the state, were either involved in the murders or they covered up. And those that may have talked, they took to Washington with them. And let's also not forget when Bill changed addresses and moved into the White House, it was the FBI that finished up the cover up by sending dozens of FBI agents here to start looking through everything they had when they moved out. And Hillary even took stuff from the governor's mansion here. She smashed the walls. We had to remodel it. And the thing with it is the FBI came in and finished the covered up, blocked out all the pages begin. So to begin with, so they started redacting them the second they started going to Washington. And really, the investigation was just barely getting going. And so Hillary's thoughts of redactions of these documents, I don't know even how to respond to her on that. I mean, I know I went to her Twitter page and gave her the what for, and told her she was full of BS, that unredact the 34-year-old, 30, well, it was that back then, it was about 32 years worth of info so we could solve the case of the boys on the track. And, everybody attacked me over there, and they said I didn't know what I was talking about. And, I was a nutcase. So, in 1996, after nearly 2 years, the White House unexpectedly discovered copies of missing documents from Hillary's law firm. And there were documents that pertained to Vince Foster. And they were found in a room directly across from Hillary's private office and on the third floor at the White House, and out in the open on a coffee table that had her fingerprints all over it as well. Missing for 2 years, indeed. Also just happened to show up mere days after the statute of limitations ran out, that would allow some of the insurance companies in the Whitewater scandal to be able to launch a lawsuit against the Clintons. Yeah, they're good for that. They're really good. They'll stretch out and they'll cause so much chaos that things are forgotten about, and then statute of limitation runs out, and then they get off. And I know I've mentioned this to you guys. So that's their play. That's the way they play the game. And we've learned that. So as we went along for these 34 years, we have, Gene Duffy and a lot of their investigative team, they have found a way to get stuff in there before statute of limitations. And they're able to get a lot of stuff that resent and resent. And the more they resend it, the less they redact it. So I don't think they're making copies. I think of the blackened pages, I think they're redoing it and trying to redact it, because we're getting stuff that wasn't, that was redacted before that isn't now. And we're able to figure out names. And, so this is the game they play. And it was always good timing. And if we fast forward to 2005, we see Sandy Berger. You guys remember Sandy Berger, who is? He was Bill Clinton's national security advisor and would plead guilty to intentionally destroying classified documents, both the Clinton's administration, and this took place at the National Archives. And the National Archives, reviewing the documents, made honest mistakes, they said. And it was an honest mistake, Sandy said. And for his troubles, what did he get? A slap on the wrist. He got a small fine, a little bit of probation, and some minor community hours. But was this just an honest mistake? Think about it. He went to the National Archives and he took things. And I believe if I remember right, he shredded them. They were good at shredding stuff back then. And from the Congressional Committee on the Oversight and the government reform, the investigation concluded in 2007. We can see in 2003, Sandy Berger removed classified notes. And then again, um, he went to September 2nd of 2003, where he removed classified documents from the archives. And then that wasn't enough. He went again on October 2nd, removed classified documents from the archives. And Berger was also removed classified notes. It looks to me like he made three honest mistakes. I mean, once is, but twice, three times, I think that's kind of not a mistake. That's kind of, what you're doing. And we set this up in a government think tank, they said, with a nice big fat paycheck, they said. And you can plot and plan. Um, you would be able to work with the military and work for foreign affairs. Uh, so this is, he was basically taken care of for all the trouble. He almost got Hillary. So three strikes, you're out. You're not rewarded. Government handouts and jobs, and get this, family members and his friends were also given jobs. Wow. So anyway, we see that in 2009, the National Archives again loses a hard drive with Clinton records on it. 2 terabytes hard drive that contain hundreds and thousands of records. And then, of course, we see in 2015, Hillary deleted 33,000 emails with no oversight. So she's good at this. She's really good. You remember um, uh, all of her aides. We just shredded. We just shredded. We were just told to shred, so we shredded. And we smashed the phones. We took hammers to the phones and we just smashed them. And then we continued shredding. And then she's got Berger going into National Archives stealing stuff. And then, of course, they were just yoga emails. Isn't that right? So the FBI documents relating to Hillary Clinton and Vince Foster have disappeared. And where did they go? Well, the National Archives doesn't really know. They were notes from the investigation into Vince Foster. Not only that, but the boys on the track. And they reported details of the last staff meeting Hillary Clinton attended, where she berated and talked down to him. My guess is there was probably a lot of swearing, and Hillary throws things, so she probably threw a few things as well. So these documents go missing. I don't know if you guys knew that at least 80% of the Vince Foster investigation with the FBI have disappeared. And you ask the FBI, they don't know. Because who was in charge back then? Comey was. Yep, Comey. Yep. And all of her special friends, folks. So the Clinton relation with Comey, we've seen time to time over the decades. And first, when Bill Clinton was president as deputy special counsels to the Senate Whitewater Committee. And this was in 1996, after months of work. And he came really a lot of mishandling of the documents. And, they're saying that's what happened with Eric Holder, too, mishandling of the documents. And we're finding out a lot of that investigation has also disappeared. And so this is a pattern of concealment that her and Bill Clinton have been doing to hide their role into other matters or investigations by law enforcement that's taking out against them. The interference by the White House officials was even included, and the destruction of documents. Then just aggressive lawyering. This is a political naive on all of their actions. But look at how they act now. Remember, I say, how could they be so stupid? This administration. Well, that's what we were thinking back then. Is how naive are these people? How do they not do something about this? How do they not um, investigate or conclude or find these records for all these crimes that she's committed? And now James Comey, his first brush with the Clintons was in the 80s. And then again, we see it on TV or in the media in 1996. And they say their first reunion came in the mid 90s, which is a lie. That he joined the Senate Whitewater Committee. Um, and so why would they have to hide they knew him in the 80s? I didn't, and Mueller was here too. Why would they have to hide or cover up and have CNN do it? Well, we know CNN lies, but um, um, they basically have tried to change it. So, oh, you didn't see us at the Rose Law Firm in the 80s. Well, it was already on the media here. And if you ask people here, they'll say, Comey looks so young, uh, very young back in the 80s. And they all remember him on TV. They said he was very handsome. So it's not like we made this stuff up. And, the Clintons took part in fraud while at the same time not mentioning a peep about the stuff we looked at. Um, and we also found out through Donna Brazile um, about Hillary having issues at the DNC and money, and also nominations for the Democrat primaries. And it was breaking news across mainstream media. And that was in 2017. But that's when, it was like, Bernie, you're not going. I'm walking up there on the stage, So that's Hillary, though. If she wasn't going to she was not going to let Bernie Sanders wear the queen dress and the crown and wear her sash and her her staff. That was hers to wear, and he didn't fit in the dress. And that's basically she just she snookered him out of it. I hear he got a pretty good vacation home, but the Clintons received the Democrat, or she received that part. And not only that, but after doing this and everybody was boo at her, she ended up getting Woman of the Year um, that same year. Um, but look at what they did to Milena. It's just these magazines and the media are just so naive. There you go. And so Bill Clinton in 2001 pardoned a financier, Mark Ridge, and Comey ultimately decided not to pursue the case. And Comey, who prosecuted Mark Ridge, you remember that, began with what Bill Clinton wanted. And because Bill Clinton said his buddy Mark Ridge wasn't guilty, Comey just went along with it. And we know what happened to Rich. Yeah, you don't talk. Everybody has to remain silent. So Comey just went along with it. And then, of course, remember Sandy Berger, who stole the documents from the National Archives. Well, he didn't. Nothing happened to him either. Um, and so Judicial Watch, which is an excellent organization, I gotta say, they went to federal court to get the National Records and Archives. And National Archives, again, I'm surprised those documents hadn't gone missing. Well, the documents stem from 2015, and they did it under Freedom of Information Act. Well, when it went to a judge that wasn't one of their judges, um, all of a sudden, they started receiving a lot of these documents, not only for ours, but even some of the ones missing from Vince Foster. And the the draft indictments relate to the allegations that Clinton provided false information and withheld evidence from the federal investigators to conceal her involvement, which led to criminal convictions. Clinton provided. So she did get charged, folks. Get this. This is what's a crack up. They at one time, and it's mentioned again in some articles I'm going to tell you about, that they actually were going to charge her. But since and this is back with the Clintons, when they found out about Chinagate, Whitewater, Monica Lewinsky, all of it, they actually had enough on her, what she had done. Just being a first lady, they had enough to charge her. Well, they didn't, because she was first lady and they didn't want to do that to a first lady. Uh, You know, once again, they snuck through, they slipped through, and didn't get charged for it. And so the Clinton provided legal representation to quite a few of the people that were going to stick by them. And it was a guaranteed to protect the Rose Law Firm also. Now, Rose Law Firm is in Little Rock, Arkansas, and National Archives confirmed that the Clinton draft indictments stating included amongst the record are drafts of the proposed indictment of Hillary Rodham Clinton. Um, and it was labeled and hid away. Well, lo and behold, when we started asking for Freedom of Information Acts, we found out that the draft indictment was actually with Hubble's draft indictment, Webster Hubble. So, how about that? Hillary was going to be indicted in the late 1990s. But I guess with being a sitting president's wife, that wouldn't go over too well. So, um, so we run all the way up to the 2016, and so we know what happened. Trump beat her out, and so Hillary Clinton. Um, you would think at this time we wouldn't have seen much from her. Um, and lo and behold, we found out that she had uh, Mueller and at least 11 lawyers that was working at the FBI with Mueller. And what I hear, shredding documents once again. So, how do we know what really happened with the Mueller investigation if they were shredding? You know, and see, that's what I would like to know, what they shredded. Uh, was it her involvement in it? Was it the fact that of uh, Perkins Coie or Fusion GPS? Would it named a lot more names for the CIA, the FBI? We don't know. Um, and the thing is, um, it just shows you that she redacts, she deletes, she whitewashes, she smashes, she shreds. So she has been doing this for a very, very long time. And Kevin and Don's murders, um, I would hope that we were hoping ever since then, the American public and the press would go through a lot of these pages and these redactions, all these thousands of documents. And it's not like we haven't submitted it to the media. We have. Um, but they don't want them. They don't. That's old news to them. Well, wait a minute. There was two boys that was killed, and they said, "Oh, someone else did that." Well, no, you don't understand. Once you start looking at the connections, everything I've told you guys over the last couple months with Barry Seal and the Bush family, with the drugs going into Arkansas, into Mena, and how they were making drug drops, and how when Bush walked away, it should have stopped, but it didn't. They kept it going. They just moved um, they were still using the Mena airport, but they had moved to another airport also. And there was issues and things happening, not only in Arkansas, but even Oklahoma, that we come to find out because of these drops. So, when she says, "Oh, she wants as few redactions as possible," well, when asked on multiple occasions, not just by me on Twitter, she has been asked dozens of times. She won't reveal. She says it's up to the FBI, and the FBI says it's national security of what is covered up. What, the name of Don Henry's sister is national security? And we figured that out on our own. So the documents revealed that Hillary Clinton basically, the way she treats people, and even the head people at the FBI, is horrible. It's serving to protect herself. And Hillary Clinton is known, um, according to the state troopers and even the FBI here and DEA, that she corrupts every institution that she can get her hands on. She just loves to see the corruption, and they say she licks her lips and she smiles when she sees um, um, people hurt. And so she corrupts institutions. She's corrupted the State Department. Um, she totally destroyed our justice system here, and and then runs back to the FBI to defend all of her illegal activities that she's done because she's so corrupt. And the FBI, because the FBI is now invested interest in defending her, not just um, her and the rest of her family and friends, but the politicians. The FBI in her criminal past, they have covered it, and they have to keep covering it. I hope you guys understand this. She must keep them all in place forever. All of these people must stay in place. The corruption, the cover-ups, has all got to stay covered up. Or if it unravels, look at if you just pulled a small string in this, it would totally unravel the Democrat Party. I mean, I hate to say, and as she says, "Oh, to me, this is just unethical." I have other words for it. Believe me, I've cursed her up one side and down the other, and I would love to go to a book signing with her, but I'd probably get thrown out. If there's nothing to hide, like she says, then you know what? Turn over all of the info to us. Hillary and Bill Clinton and their nonprofit organizations got millions and millions of dollars. And one of their biggest donors, guess where um, when she was Secretary of the State, she got individual donations and huge. Guess where they came from? Someone over there in my chat room. Hi to Linda and William and a few others, Mary. You guys aren't going to believe this. So I know I'm on a time delay, but individual and huge donations came from the oligarchs in Ukraine. It's all she's tied to Ukraine too. I mean, it's understandable back then because they were very corrupt. So she has even got millions of dollars tied up in Ukraine. So does the Biden family. I bet Pelosi family does too. So wouldn't it at least be fair to look in and ask the questions that we've been asking for a very long time? What about her foreign money that she got through the State Department and her foundations? And when she was Secretary of the State, she made $150 million off of who? Sidney Blumenthal. And basically the State Department business, Mr. Blumenthal's involvement was more wide range, more complicated than previous known. He was helping Hillary Clinton at that point. And none of us really knew about it until we started requesting the Freedom of Information Act. And boy, we got stuff we really didn't know. Or I'm going to say Tom Fenton did, not me. Tom Fenton did, but I was able to get the documents from him. So the Clinton insider, in all kinds of ways, bring up a lot of concern. And not only that, but Blumenthal was supposedly even in an invested interest with her in Libya. And the bottom line, Blumenthal sent intelligence to alternate personnel email account while he was being paid by the Clinton Foundation, several Gulf states. Not only that, but the Chelsea Foundation, tens of millions of dollars from countries with human rights violations, um, quite a few. Um, and she was taking money from all the countries that only abused women. It wasn't the fact it was children, folks. It was women. It was slavery to women. Um, and she, um, and you, not only that, but even Blumenthal was in the middle with her handling of Benghazi. So you could see Blumenthal was on board with her, as well as quite a few others. Um, and it's the to me, it's the Clinton crime family, and it's always leaned to the FBI whenever they get up to here in their crimes. She goes running to the FBI, and whoever is in charge of the FBI is always connected to them and will always protect her and the rest of the Democrat Party. And this has been known since the 1990s, folks. We tried to tell you guys. And I wish the media would have been louder. I wish we would have had the internet we have today, because I think it would have been out. And I think when they did and tried to indict her in the 90s, I think she would have went to prison. And a lot of the heartache of a lot of different people and a lot of the corruption never would have happened with her. Um, and oh boy. And when we look at Vince Foster, um, and the reason of a lot of Vince Foster is covered up is we were finding out when things go through the Rose Law Firm and their cronies, the group of guys that were out on the tracks those days, that night, um, were the same people that pretty much hung out at the Rose Law Firm. They hung out at the governor's mansion. And we really, we don't have the proof, but we really do believe that Vince Foster has mentioned all of this. And because he was walking away from them. But not only that, but the Whitewater crimes and the Chinagate. And a lot of people don't know about the Chinagate. You would think it was just someone giving them too much in campaign money. No, they sold um, um, nuclear weapons plans to China in the late 80s into the 90s. And that's something that was part of the impeachment. But whenever they would bring up Chinagate, they would say, "Oh, that one guy that gave her too much money." No one ever really looks into it. They only want to hear about Monica Lewinsky. And when I hear that name, I cringe, because that overshadowed everything that they've done here, everything we could have got them for, even the boys. But we had to listen to Monica Lewinsky. Oh, as you learn more and more and more about the Clintons, you start to realize they control the Department of Justice. They control the attorney generals. They are a force to be reckoned with. And now you can understand why we see what we see today with Garland and um, Mayorkas, what we've seen. Now William Barr, folks, He was their attorney general a long time ago, but he quit. And I think it was getting too deep. But can you imagine the hornet's nest he walked into when he became attorney general? Because they aren't nice. And they probably backed him, his family, his friends, probably poisoned his animals, everything they could to tell William Barr he wasn't going to do a damn thing. And I could see him weakening to it. Um, and I think that's what happened. And I think that's why he backed out and really is not saying nothing or not even defending Trump. Because you know what? You've got evil, and evil comes right back. No witnesses. Hillary always says, no witnesses. And everybody's in fear of that. Look at all those kids that got killed. Look at the witnesses that won't come forward now to even talk about the boys because they're scared to death of these people. And the Clintons, um, they have got hundreds of attorneys. And not only that, now they got Soros behind them. So, um, and then a lot of people don't know about how she really raked Hollywood over the coals. Um, um, David Rosen and Lee. Um, they were going to help her to throw the big gala for the Clintons when they first got into Washington. Well, she ripped these producers and directors off of millions of dollars. And she basically, um, not only that, but her Senate campaign. Um, and they ended up only really saying that she took 1.2 million from Peter Paul. Peter Paul was another one. So really, when she went to Hollywood, she tried to rake them over, and then of course she ran back to the FBI and made false statements. That's punishable. The thing about Peter Paul is he recorded everything that she did. He had documents, he had notes, he probably even had dinner napkins and a menu and everything Trump had. Maybe that's what was missing, her stuff. Um, but all the videos and everything he had of Bill and Hillary Clinton, home video cameras stuff. Nothing ever happened. But you know what? They went to jail for fraud. So they were good. As soon as they were ready to talk, they went to prison. So she defrauded them too. And oh, good grief! There's still more, guys. There's still more. Um, let's see here. Now, the Justice Department showed up and found some records that involve the FBI, and the law enforcement agency has been ignoring them. And it took like 6 weeks for them to turn over 29 pages. And um, they were more concerned about a whistleblower with the police department than talking about. Um, um, what Hillary had done. And according to what I've been able to find out, they have silenced 225 whistleblowers. Some have ended up dead. Quite a few ended up dead. Some were reporters that ended up dead. And they were just trying to find out um, exactly how many whistleblowers had stuff on Hillary. So they had to go get these documents. So there was a lot of FBI raids going on. And I believe that's when they came here. Because they came here a number of times where the FBI raided the Rose Law Firm. They raided her museum where she sells her memorabilia. They they did the library. They did a few, at least 10 banks looking for something. And lo and behold, um, they found out that there was even stuff all the way to Phoenix, Arizona. And the FBI office there found out there was a lot of leaks coming out of a place called Truly Agency. And get this, so when the leaks started coming out, they charged them with terrorism and crimes and misdeeds. And so anytime anybody tried to come out and say anything, just like an ABC reporter, um, when you tried to come out with any documents, or they did, they were silenced and fired. So it's always good to have a really good attorney general that's on your side. And we have found out that since the Clintons were in office and president, on that every single attorney general has been somebody that they know, work for, a friend, family member, or any of those. So this is where I mean, you might see Garland looking weak right now, and not really talking. And we see how corrupt this FBI is right now. But this, we're still trying to get the stuff for the boys on the track. And in the meantime, she's causing all this chaos over decades, 34 years worth. And not only that, um, even had stuff to do with General Flynn. She was even a part of that, of course, because Comey. Um, and she did not want General Flynn in the middle of it. Now, General Flynn knew some stuff that happened over in Iraq. And for some reason, there is a cache of about 10,000 documents that Hillary did something in Iraq, and we're not sure of what it is. We just know there was a file that was for Iraq. I'm sorry. So not only that, but then the email investigation. We've also heard that there's stuff with the boys on the track and the 33,000 emails. Um, Now, some of the other stuff she's done, I know you guys have heard about it. The What about the rape victim when she first started? I mean, early on, this was a violent rape, and because she had to win that first case, she basically um, uh, tortured this little girl. And I know we all seen her with Trump, and I know you guys have heard about her case. But not only that, but then you have to look all the way back to um, Nixon, that she was trying to um, do away with evidence that was for Nixon, so that to make sure he got in trouble. And the judge had to let her go. Now Snopes will say, "Oh, that ain't true." Yes, it is true. Her boss even came forward and said she's a liar. She's crooked. She's evil, and she'll do everything she can to um, give herself a step up. She thinks she's a goddess, and so she was even part of the Nixon thing. Um, I mean, all kinds of stuff. She did insider trading on cattle. Um, Not only that, but she is big on these whole thing with aborted babies after 24 weeks. Um, Everybody around her is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. Um, she Guess what? Not only was it just one time, there was 4 times that $6 billion come up missing from the State Department. Um, she was covering up known pedophiles of around the world. Um, she lied about the sniper fire in Bosnia. That's kind of petty though. She was fined 300,000 under the Logan Act for attending Bilderberg meeting. I'm not sure where that one came from. Um, she used Al Qaeda terrorists to destroy Libya, and this is in the documents that have come out. Um, Not only that, but she stole not only documents of doc classified documents, but she stole furniture from the White House when they left. Um, she allowed Ambassador Stevens to die. Um, she was got caught covering. She got caught covering up arms trafficking to ISIS. She $10 million from foreign donors through her tax-free foundation. And the one that really got me more than anything, and this is provable, Snopes can't even disprove it, is she got kids hooked on Ritalin so she could get money from Big Pharma. She pushed all those commercials. She paid for all of the push for Ritalin to go out to the kids. Um, uh, so, um, so the last of the boys on the track, um, you'll remember there's more. There's more, folks. Um, there's another case. In fact, there's two other cases where young men were run over by a train, just similar to almost mirror uh, uh, case to Kevin and Don. 6 weeks after the investigation um, was reopened, there was a tragedy similar in Ogden, um, Oklahoma, 200 miles west of Little Rock. This was in, I'm going to say a stone throws of Mena, but it was like 50, 60 miles. And the two men were lying together on the railroad tracks, been run over by a locomotive. And this was before the boys. And they were lying motionless, they say. They were covered with a tarp. They found a little bit of alcohol in their system, but later changed it to a lot of alcohol. And these two men, according to their friends, wouldn't have done this. Not only that, a little while later, there were again, two men were run over by a freight train in a remote area of Fulford County. Um, and so there was another one, and it was the same thing. Um, these two guys drank a little bit, decided to put a tarp over themselves, but these two laid face down and then put the tarp over themselves and then got run over by a train. Both of these places were so close to Mena. And one was before the boys. So it was one in Oklahoma before the boys, and there was one with the boys, and the one after that happened with these other two boys. All of them, the other ones were 18 to 20 years old. So, coincidence? There was only a slight amount of alcohol in these guys. There weren't no drugs. And the medical examiner, we come to find out, looking at it, was tied to the Clintons. They were tied to the Clintons again. So similarities, three sets of right in the same area within 200 miles radius of the Mena airport where drops were done, where these boys all told their friends there was drops and there was marijuana plants and there was big drug drops. So a coincidence? That's what they say. They say this is all a coincidence. But we know different here in Arkansas. We know what the Clintons have been all about. And the boys, basically, to wrap all this up, there is enough there that Hillary Clinton can be charged, and as well as Bill Clinton. Bill and Hillary can be charged. Their name is written all over this from Barry Seal on. They were the ones that the money eventually went to, or it was the Clinton Foundation. It's been traced through bank after bank after bank, but no matter what, it still goes right back to the Clintons' account. They were friends with all of these guys. And there was even, now we're not sure how to take him because he won't turn over the video. Billy Jack Hayes has said that he talked on the phone to Bill Clinton, and Hillary said in the background, no witnesses. And that's a well-known thing that she says. Now, we're not sure. Billy Jack Hayes says he's got a video of what happened that night. But when pushed and pushed and asked and pleaded with, he has not turned it over. So we can't really say he was there that night, nor does anybody, any of the witnesses claim that he was. So Carnage on Ice, you'll see there is changes. And, folks, go and watch the Boys on the Tracks 1 through 5. And there is so much there that it tells you even more than I've told you over the last couple weeks about what the Clintons are all about. Um, and it doesn't stop. It didn't stop. Um, even Clinton Cash that came out was showing how they basically tried to child traffic kids out of Haiti. They and then the Haiti scandal, and then her brother Tony ended up with the diamond mine out of there. They go country after country for the resources, and whatever happens, happens. And of course, then if Hillary gets in a little bit of hot water, she runs back to the FBI and they protect her once again. Can you imagine what that Comey would survive Hillary Clinton if he decided to even leak anything? He'd be gone. I think Comey's scared of her. I think they're all scared of Hillary. I'm not. I'm not because she can't get nothing out of me. And all my memories, they can come take all my books, my papers, and they could smash my phones and shred my documents. But they're still not going to get what's up here. A lot of what I have is my memory of everything. And that's the best way to be with it with the Clintons, because the second you write it down and they find it, you're in trouble. Um, there is so much that they have done, and so many times they have gotten money for their campaigns where they've ripped people off. They will go in and they will cause protest and destroy a country and put whoever they want in. And like you even found out tonight, even Ukraine. How many oligarchs did Hillary Clinton put in power? How many oligarchs have been put in power because of Hillary? And did Gaddafi really have to die? You know, and she laughed about that. And then when she's in so much hot water, and you get her in before the house, well, what does she do? She put on them thick old glasses and whined, and oh, poor Hillary, such an act. Um, and why do I pick on Hillary? Because when they were here, folks, Bill is a womanizer. He's a womanizer. And he's a party boy. And he likes to play a sax. He likes to go to parties. He likes the women. He doesn't like politics. And we found that out here. Hillary always run the show. So as president, even though he does his speeches, do you ever see him doing what Hillary does? No, he didn't run for Senate. He didn't run to be put in the State Department. He didn't run for presidency again. She did. I don't think he could. I don't think he's up for the challenge. Plus, impeachment. I don't think he can rerun. Uh, but Hillary is where's the evilness in the family, and she will use and abuse everybody that gets in their way. Did Epstein get in their way? Everything started coming out about the Clintons being tied to Epstein Island, and poof, look at what happens. So, was he fixing to talk? I can imagine the threats that went to Griselle. Is that her name? Um, the girlfriend of Epstein. Uh, so that's what the Clintons are all about, folks. Um, you can watch so many Clinton corruptions. Clinton Cash is a good one, but they're disappearing fast. They are disappearing fast. Um, I've been trying to get as many as I can, and I thought I had a good store up of them, and I was going to put them on a thumb drive, but then they took my page, and all of them are gone. Oh my goodness, the stuff I had on her. But I can, it'll be back. It'll be back. People have original copies. Um, she has no soul. Um, it's like a military not a military, a family mafia. And her and Pelosi and Biden's and Schumer and all of them, they're best buds. They're best buds. And so when you look at them, you see Hillary. Everything that they do is probably taught to them by Hillary Clinton. She chose them, she picked them, she went state to state and made sure certain senators and congressmen got in office to serve her purpose. And her purpose, folks, is she has been a fascist Marxist. She admitted to that, and a socialist since they were here in Arkansas. We had to keep it quiet. People that wanted to expose her for it ended up committing suicide. The few that did, um, and even the Clinton Library, it was supposed to be 2 million, but she got the guy that did all the plans for it to mark it up to about 4, 5, 6 million, and they got the money. They paid it off, and he ended up committing suicide up in Pettigene, up north of me. So see, anybody, and he was going to turn her in. He didn't think it was right because they got probably about 4 million off the Clinton Library being built, um, because they pad everything. If it's a house, she's going to pad it and she's going to take you to the cleaners for it. And that's just Hillary Clinton. That's the Clintons. Um, uh, what is she today? Now I'm hearing a nobody. I heard that in between the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, um, and quite a few others, they're not very happy with Soros. And so she is basically the nobody. She's too old to run. She's too old to even be corrupting anymore. And I think that she's going to be retiring of her mafia, corrupt, evil, uh, devilish ways. I hope so, for Arkansas's sake. But when it comes to justice for the boys, we still in hopes that we do. Um, those 33,000 emails, the Vince Foster files, and come to find out, the FBI's got all them files that they filed with the information that they were a part of this. Um, but guess who the FBI works for? Hillary Clinton. So with that, that is it for tonight. And we're going to be moving on to off of the Clintons finally. And I hope you guys, have enjoyed all of the shows I've done on the Clintons, because it brought in what the Bush family, and the Bush family being more Democrat than Republican. It brought in all the people that their friends they brought along the way, all the cover-ups, and why we're seeing what we're seeing today. It starts making a lot of sense of what the Democrat Party is doing, and how long they've been doing this for. I mean, we're going back decades even with the Biden family. So um, with that, subscribe and share. And next Friday, we're going to be moving on to, I'd like to do some CIA and FBI whistleblowers, because, this is where the ones that keep letting us know what's going on. We need to keep exposing this government, whether which side, if it's Republicans, even Mitch McConnell, and quite a few others that are claiming they're Republicans that side with the Democrats. So I'm going to try, we're going to go back to the regular corruption files next week. And so with that, subscribe, hit the bell, and always hit the like button. And over in Facebook, follow and like. Tomorrow night is trivia night. So bring the popcorn and get in your favorite cozy chair, and we'll see who wins. And Linda G did win last week's trivia. So congratulations to her. I think I didn't say who it was. I did that to DB Wolf too. I might have to have um, Mary nudge me and say, remember the winners. So, with that, folks, thanks for watching tonight. And we will see everyone tomorrow night. Go watch a really good, well, go watch The Boys on the Track. It's on YouTube. Um, one isn't really two. I'd start with two, do two, and 4 and 5. Three is the sheriff's, and it'll tell you all the police officers and law enforcement that was part of this. So go watch The Boys on the Tracks, and I hope you enjoy it. So with that, we will see everyone tomorrow night. God bless, and bye-bye, folks.